Digital culture shocks. I have lived in the States a little over 4 months as a South African. I've divided my culture shocks into 4 categories: daily life, shopping culture, road culture, and lingo. So let's get into it. Receiving mail and things in a mailbox. South Africa does not have a working mail system, at least not that I'm aware of. To me, it was super fun, and it still is really enjoyable to walk to the mailbox and get mail. When I first opened my US bank account, I received a message that I will get my PIN in the mail. I immediately assumed that I would receive my PIN via email. Come to my surprise, when I didn't receive my PIN via email, I requested it 2 more times in hopes that it would send into my email, only to later discover that they meant mail, as in a physical letter mail I would receive. So I received my PIN in the post box 3 times because I clicked on it 3 times in the mailbox. To me, that is such a fun thing to go every day, open the mailbox and see what's in there. It's such an old school feeling that I really wish South Africa still had. Now they tell time. So I grew up going through military time. So if it's 8:30, it's 20:30, or if it's 9:30, it's 21:30, or I would read it as 9:30, 9:45. They do not read time like that. They read time as 10:15, 10:30, 8:30. No, 8:30, 9:30. Like, or if I say, oh, it's 1:45, they're like, 1:45 what? It's 10:45. Like, that was when I started to wrap my head around a little bit of adjusting how I read time and tell time. Things are like the movies, or movies are like everyday life. Everything you see in American movies is what they experience on the day-to-day basis. Prom, high school football games, college football games, Girl Scout cookies, the school bus, everything that I grew up watching on TV being like, oh, that's, how it happens in the movies. No, that is their everyday life. The movies replicate their everyday life, and it sounds silly saying that now because, like, obviously, but to me, movies felt more magical because it felt like a whole nother world, whereas to them, it's just their everyday life. Like, of course they have prom next week. They are an extremely proud nation. The amount of flags I see everywhere is insane. Almost every house has a flag outside of it. Most public buildings, I went to the public swimming pool and it had a massive flag hanging. There's literally just flags everywhere. They are super proud. To really get invested and celebrate all holidays, the shops are the first to decorate to another level. It's such a cool experience going into like Publix or TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Nordstrom, Macy's, all the shops, and seeing how well decorated everything is for the seasons. So at the moment it's fall, so there's fall things and Halloween things literally every which way you turn. I love it. It really adds to the whole movie feeling. They don't use the metric system. Their system makes absolutely no sense to me. I'm trying to teach my little host kid how to use the American system, and I am learning right there with her, with the cups, fluid ounces, miles. Like 1 mile is around 1.6 kilometers. I don't know, I'm still getting my head around the whole American measurement system, because in my opinion, the metric system is a lot easier and it makes more sense. This one's also super cool that I wish I had the fortune of experiencing back in South Africa, and that is independence from such a young age. Every single place you go is hiring, especially during the summertime. They hire a lot of young individuals. So if you go into the ice cream shop, you're going to be helped most likely by a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old. They hire coaches for swim practice, coaches for soccer. Like, it's just all around super easy, it seems, to get a summer job and start working from such a young age, which I find really cool, to build your independence and earn money from such a young age, as well as being able to drive around from the age of 16. I used to yearn for those days when I was 16 in South Africa, so bored because I couldn't drive anywhere. I had virtually no money, and I wanted to work, I wanted to make some money for myself, and the opportunity just wasn't there as it is here. Literally, there's so many young high school students working summer jobs, and I just think that's a really cool thing to see, as well as just the overall independence of children here and teenagers at such a young age. Okay, the second culture shock column or topic that we're talking about is shopping culture. I love to shop. Let's get into it. Number 1, food portions are huge. This is no joke, but it also depends where you go. For instance, McDonald's portions are around about the same here as well as in South Africa. However, Dunkin' Donuts, their medium is huge. I don't even know what their large coffees look like because the medium is just insane. I've seen that this might be a southern thing, but cashiers, when they can help you, they say, I can get you here, and then that's how they call you. Instead of being like, next, they go, I can get you here, which is just a little something. I don't know if that's southern though, because I have seen things about that it could just be a thing that people in the South tend to say. As someone who wakes up super early and likes to get the day going super early so that I can relax the rest of the day, it's been really interesting to reshift my internal clock to later in the day, because stores open and close so much later here. On weekends, like Sunday for instance, stores will only open at 12 o'clock and they'll close at around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, which is quite nice because like in South Africa, it will open at like 7, close at like 2 on a Sunday. So it's just interesting how everything here opens and closes so much later. It's also made me less of a morning person because there's no point in waking up so early if you have to wait so late until the shops open. So as an avid shopper, this is one of the most frustrating ones for me, and that is that the tax is not included in the price. So what you see in the store is not what you pay at the cashier or the till. This gets me every time still. If I'll see something is $30, I have no idea what the tax is for each category. I just assume that it's round about $2 or $3 that they add on, and sometimes it can be a bit of a nasty shock when it's more than that. So for instance, I bought a $30 perfume. It said $30, and when I got to check out, it was actually $32. Or if you see something's $3 and you assume like you're ready to pay $3, no, you need to incorporate the tax of you're actually going to pay $5 for it. That is so annoying to me. Why can't it just be the price that you see? Like, I miss that about South Africa. Like, the price you see is the price you pay. It's not the same here. You pay a little bit more at checkout because they add the tax afterwards. The returning culture, you can return almost anything, whether it's open, it's been used, you've had it for 2 months, you can literally return anything. It's the easiest process, no questions asked. That is not something I'm used to. If I buy something and it doesn't fit, I just keep it. I'm not someone to return something. I bought a Stanley Cup at Target when I first arrived and the price was marked wrong and I paid way more than I should have. And my host mom was like, you can just go return it. I was like, no, why would I return it? No. Same with makeup. You can use makeup and return it if you don't like the product. That is wild to me. That is such an interesting concept to me, that you can use makeup, not like it, and then go and return it. Wild. Or the fact that they have such long return policies too. My host one bought dresses from Anthropologie and she only returned them 2 months later. Like, they just sat in a bag and she returned them 2 months later. The next one is change of season obsession. Again, with the movie-like feeling, they really do embrace changes of seasons. So with fall now coming up, I really feel it in the stores. I walked in the other day to Publix and there were pumpkins everywhere. They had pumpkin loaves, Halloween decorations were out, like everything is decorated. The house is already decorated for Halloween. It's September. Why are the houses decorated for Halloween already? I don't know, but I love how much they fully embrace it. There was a huge celebration basically for pumpkin spice latte season at Starbucks and Dunkin'. I love it. I love the whimsy excitement for cute little things like that. So that's everything that I had for shopping culture. The next one is road culture. So as most of you know, in America, they drive on the right-hand side of the road, whereas South Africa, they drive on the left-hand side of the road. This is obviously going to be a culture shock for me, growing up always driving on the left hand side of the road and adjusting to driving on the right hand side. I remember when I first went for a drive, we pulled up and the roads were empty and I had to stop at a stop street. I looked the wrong way and my host one was like, the cars are coming from that way. And I was like, oh, that is so trippy. Another thing that's super interesting about driving on the right hand side that I found with other South Africans too is because we're not used to, I think, driving so close, like the middle of the road like that, we naturally veer to the right. So when I first started driving, the car kept veering to the right because I wasn't, so I don't know, I'm used to staying to like the lane on that side and it felt weird being on the other side, so I would veer away from the line. I have no idea if that makes any sense, but I would naturally veer right when driving straight. I've obviously fixed that now because I've been driving on the right hand side of the road for quite a while, so the rules of the road are different as well. I mean, obviously the rules aren't going to be the same everywhere, but the ones that notably stood out to me is right on red. Not a thing in South Africa. Worked really well though. It's basically what it means, right on red, if it's safe to turn right because you're on the right side of the road. It's literally just like a little slip. You're not interfering with traffic or anything. You can just turn right on red and go about your merry way. Another one is that they have a yellow blinking arrow that you yield to turn. Interesting. When I first saw that, I was like, what does this mean? The school buses. People love the school buses. Personally, they make me a little bit nervous. The school buses are everywhere and they are super important, obviously, because they take their children to school. However, I did not know this. A school bus has blinking lights when they are going to stop. A little stop arm comes out and you have to stop dead. You have to stop dead. You cannot move. And also the school bus has cameras on it so that if you do drive past, they catch you and you can get a fine of up to like $1,000 or something like that. So when you see a school bus slowing down and its lights start flashing, you have to stop dead no matter where you are. If you're in the middle of you stop dead. That was really a wild concept to me of just, you stop. Obviously to protect the kids from crossing the road and getting out of the school bus. But that's something that I'm not used to. That was a really big culture shock, actually. Like, I'm still... And my last road culture one is that you have to scan a QR code to pay for parking in a lot of the places. So I actually, I do my life in with fines because, wow. I went to a parking garage the one day, did not see the QR code because also I assumed, oh, there's no boom or anything. It's free to park there. I was wrong. Turns out there was a poster somewhere. To this day, I don't know where that poster is. So I have not gone back. I have not parked there. But you scan a QR code, you fill in your number plate, you fill in your bank details, and then that's how you pay for parking. So annoying, literally so annoying. Like, why can't they just give me a little ticket that I can put into? Some places do, but there's also a lot of parking spots that you just scan a QR code to pay for parking. You also have to virtually pay for parking everywhere you go, but I think that's normal in South Africa too, right? Okay, well, that's everything that I have for road culture. And a little fun one that I've been working on gathering is lingo. So South Africa follows British English, Americans obviously follow American English. So I've been curating a list of words that have come up that I've experienced are different. So I've had to change how I say some words in everyday life because it's different for them, or they don't know what I'm saying, or they don't understand. So I thought we could go through that list together and I'll tell you some of them. I think the obvious one is the robot. We call it a robot. They call it a traffic light. Another one is petrol. They call it gas. But those are obvious. I feel like we all kind of know that one. So I've got a few more niche ones that I've come across. A plaster. Can I get a plaster? Say a band-aid. Can I get a band-aid? This one, cupboard. They have no idea what a cupboard is. The other day, oh, it's in the cupboard. And they're like, what did you say? No, they do not call it a cupboard. They call it either, depending if it's for their clothes, a closet. I mean, makes sense. But if it's like a cupboard in a kitchen, they call it a cabinet. I don't use the word cabinet hardly ever in my day-to-day life. The next one is swimsuit. When I first got here, they were like, oh, let's go swimming. And I was like, oh, I didn't think I'd have to go put my costume on. They're like, your costume? What do you mean your costume? It's not Halloween. And I'm like, no, my costume, like my swimsuit, my bathing suit, my costume. No, they call it a swimsuit. A costume is strictly for Halloween, whereas for us, it's both. It's interchangeable. This one is so frustrating. I say I'm going to go and fetch something, and I've recently discovered that this is purely British English. This is not, makes no sense to the Americans. I'm going to go and fetch my bag. I'm going to go and fetch this person from the mall. I don't know. I'm going to go fetch my friend from their house. Fetch for them is strictly a game you play with dogs. They go play fetch with their dog. They throw the ball. They go play fetch. You don't fetch something, you get something. Or you go pick up someone. That's so annoying. I'm like, I'm just gonna go fetch them. Which is also interesting because I'm reading a lot of British English books with my host kid, and fetch comes up a lot. So I've discovered that that is purely British English. And at least now she understands what fetch means, because they must be so confused when they see like, oh, I'm gonna go fetch this. And I'm like, what? But fetch is what you play with the dog. But now they know. Oh, another word that's super popular in South Africa is you're keen for something. If you're keen for something, you want to do it. Oh, I'm keen. I'm keen to do this. I really want to do that. I'm keen. No, they don't use the word keen. They say down. I'm down for this. Are you down to do this? I'm down for that. I'm keen. I'm keen to do that. So that they don't use keen. Another one, my gown. You know what a gown is. We love them in South Africa in the wintertime, the summertime, any time of the year. Your gown. You live in your gown. No, they call it a robe. A gown for them is like a ball gown, like a special event dress or something. So they call it a robe, which is so fancy. Look at me in my robe. This one, they made me feel like I was crazy for. I even had to ask my one friend. I was like, what do we call this? A stop street. We call it a stop street. And I'm like, oh, there's a stop street. And they were like, that makes no sense. I'm like, what do you mean that makes no sense? They call it a stop sign, which I get, but like, I'm at the stop street. Or that's a stop street. They say there's a stop sign or at the stop sign. I don't know. I prefer stop street. They call it a basin. I call it a sink. Well, I guess I say both, the basin and the sink. But a couple months ago, I was like, oh, did you look in the sink? They're like, the sink? And I was like, the basin? So that's another thing that's super interesting is Americans don't really know the British English interchangeable word, whereas I feel like I know obviously the British English word that I'm using, but I also know what to say to them so that they understand. So like when I asked for the plaster and they didn't know what I was talking about, I was like, oh, the band-aid. Like I know that they call it band-aid. Or the same with like fetch, get, or pick up, or basin and sink. Oh, we call it a fringe. Like if you know what a fringe is. They call it bangs. No, those are bangs. No, she's got a fringe. The girl with the fringe, the girl with bangs. This one's also so annoying. Jersey and sweater, or sweatshirt, or any of those interchangeable ones. For me, a jersey is a knitted jersey. For them, that is a sweater. And a jersey for them is like a football jersey. That is just so annoying when I'm like, oh, I have to put my jersey on. It's like, no, you're putting a sweater on. And then the last one that I've got here is, we call it the boot. The boots of the car. They call it the trunk of the car. But that's all the ones that I've written down. Oh, candy floss as well. They call cotton candy. I don't know what candy floss is. Doesn't make sense to them. Tackies are trainers or sneakers, but sometimes I get it wrong because I'll be like, oh, go put your trainers on, and they're like, these aren't trainers, these are sneakers. I'm like, oh, go put your sneakers on, and I'm like, why'd you call it sneakers, these are trainers? I'm like, I don't know, I call them tackies. And I can't call them tackies to you guys. Same with, okay, obviously we call it a bucky, they call it a truck, but then like their big trucks are also called trucks. I'm like, if only they knew the word bucky, like that's so much easier. Bucky, truck, they call them trucks. Also like diapers, we call it nappies, they call them pull-ups or diapers, not nappies. Nappies is not a thing. Oh, pram as well. If you have a pram, they call that a stroller, and then a pram for them is like a fancier kind of British thing. Try to find and think of some that are a little bit different from the usual gas and petrol, robots and traffic lights. So I hope that was interesting, and I hope you enjoyed this silly little video of culture shocks that I have experienced as a South African currently living in the United States of America. If you've gone through the same thing, let me know down below some of your culture shocks that you've experienced, or what surprised you the most. What do you think would give you the biggest shock? If you were to move from another country to America, what do you think would shock you the most, or what did shock you out of the list that I gave you? But that is everything that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my little culture shocks that I've experienced in my 4 months of living here, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.